Hello everyone and welcome to Shelf Space. I'm your host Ron13 and today we are looking at something a little bit different. We are looking at one of the G-frame kits. This specifically is the GP01-Fb Gundam, the GP01 Full Bernier I think is what it's actually called. And I am super excited to check it out with you guys. But first let's take a look at the box. So we got a nice little product shot of the GP01-Fb and the inner frame. And the way this works is, at least with my understanding, is that you have this half, which is basically just the armor and a very basic frame, and then this half, which is a full-on inner frame with lots of points of articulation and stuff like that. Plus, it looks like it has some extra weapons and stuff like that. But they've all sold it together. On earlier versions, these were sold separately, but they've started selling them together. So up here we have basically the same product shots as before. Down here, nothing all that exciting. Over here is what the other stuff in this particular wave is. So we got the Buster Gundam, a regular Zaku 2, and a basically Federation use Zaku 2, which makes sense because that goes along with this guy. They were piloting those at the Australia base that they were at. And back here, more basically shout outs to all the stuff that this comes with and what it does. And over here, nothing all that spectacular. Built-in bluefin sticker. And this is part of, I guess, wave 13? Or this is the 13th one? No, this is the 38th one. So I guess 13th wave, I don't know. But yeah, let's go ahead, get this open up and see what it's like. Yeah, that's right, we're going to do this sort of as a combination unboxing review. Alright, so how do we get this thing opened up? Guess we can just pull the tab. And we got bags. So one bag, two bag. And looks like we have the instructions inside the box. Let's take a look. Yeah, this is kind of like a candy toy almost. So here we have the torso, the legs, head, arms, other bits of the armor and stuff, a stand, and then on this one here is the more articulated frame, weapons, and some other accessory bits. I'm going to get these out and then we'll take a closer look at them. Alright, got everything out and at least mostly assembled. So I got the armor and stuff all put together on the basic frame, and I have the more articulated frame assembled and ready to go. And then this is all the extra accessories. So accessories wise, we got the rifle, which is just very plain, no color, no articulated handle or anything like that. We got a flight stand that will come into play later. Two different handles for the shield. I believe this one is for mounting to the arm, this one is for holding. We got the vernier thrusters for the back, vernier thrusters for the front, and the shield. Now, let me show you this guy real quick. So he looks pretty good on this. He got a nice A stance, shoulders are kind of up high, looks pretty decent. The only thing is there is no articulation in this, not even in the elbows. You can rotate the arms around, but they're positioned in such a way that that makes it difficult. And you can move the feet a little bit, but I think that's more residual than anything else. You can move the hands a little bit and the armor flaps, but really, this is just meant to stand stock still like a statue. Which, you know what? That's okay. If you're just displaying this like on a desk or something like that, you maybe want that so that way it's less likely to fall apart or fall over because of weakening joints or somebody nudging it or something like that. And yeah, this looks pretty decent so far. There's no panel lining on it or anything like that, so some details are a little washed out. So like, you can barely make out the details on the face. For comparison, here he is next to a 1/144 Grandpa Gundam. And you can see this guy is a little bit shorter. So something to keep in mind when you pick this guy up. But for now, let's go ahead, get this guy taken apart and put together on this super cool articulated frame. And here it is, all rigged up on the movable frame and the little flight stand that's made out of the corpse of the original frame. That's a little weird, but it is what it is. That aside, I gotta say, this actually looks pretty darn decent, particularly for something that's effectively a sort of glorified candy toy. Let's take a closer look. All right, so we got just amazing posability on this thing thanks to the super articulated frame thing, which reminds me a lot of like the RG kits, which I guess makes a certain amount of sense. They're probably designed about the same way. But you got rotations and double jointed knees, some nice toe point, wide kick out. Can rotate around, though you got to be a little careful because this could get a little bit confused as maybe the armor pops off a little bit. These move around. Head has a ball joint with a hinge for quite a bit of movement. Decent ab crunch, and everything feels pretty darn solid. The shield kind of hinders movement a little bit, but that's because it's a big solid piece and it would do that on just about anything. But you can get some very decent poses and it holds them quite well. You even have some options here, so you can slide this out and move these parts out a bit. They're not wanting to do it as much, but you can do that. And then these are just optional. But yeah, this is actually very, very impressive. Now, we'll compare it again, see how different the size is now that it's on a different frame. But here it is next to 1/144 scale Grandpa. So yeah, it is still about a head or so shorter than a 1/144 scale kit. So not sure what the scale is on this, but it is smaller. So that kind of brings up the question if the price to part ratio or something like that, or price to size ratio, is worth it for you. I think this actually works pretty well, and I love all the molded detail on here. I just wish there was maybe a wash or some panel lining on it to bring it out a little bit more. I may try that myself. Now, something to be aware of if you do try doing painting is not all of this is the standard Gunpla plastic. A lot of this, either because of the paint, or I think actually what it is some of this is made out of a softer plastic, maybe more like a vinyl or something like that. Kind of the same stuff that you see a lot of candy toys are made out of, which makes sense because this is, like I said, a glorified candy toy. So how it reacts to paint, I am not 100% certain. I would do some research on that first. I haven't done any research on that because this is the first one I've got. I hadn't been super interested in it, but I was at a comic book store the other day, saw this, and figured I should pick up something since I'm visiting the comic book store, and price on this didn't seem too bad. And really, I'm actually quite happy with this purchase, and I think if you got one, you probably would be okay with it too. So that's enough rambling for me. Let's go ahead in this review. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. Check the description below for links to my storefront where you can get official shelf space t-shirts and more. And yeah, thank you again, and I'll see you the next time you invade my shelf space.